So you want to learn how to draw? Well, you've come to the right place. I'm Robbie Greer from Rusticated-Artist, and this is my Fun Times Family Art playlist where you get to draw along with me from the comfort of your own home. Now in this tutorial I'm going to be doing another ink drawing. It's been so long since I've used my fine line pens, but I really enjoy using them, so that's what this week's tutorial is going to be about. Now be sure to stay through to the end, because not only will I be sharing with you all the tips and techniques that I've learnt along the way, but I'm also going to be giving a shout out to another very special channel. So you ready to get started? Come on then. Now this was a pencil sketch that I did some time ago, and it was part of a drawing that I did at the Highfields Pioneer Village of their slab hut. Now as usual, to get as much information as possible as I can in the shortest amount of time, I'm going to be going into time-lapse. Now about 3 or 4 Easters ago, Anna and I spent the weekend there, and it was an amazing place. It's well set up, they had all sorts of displays going on, the campfires going. We had a wonderful Easter camp there. Now just like when I'm doing my pencil drawings, I always start with the outline first, and then we go in, do a little bit of an underdrawing, and then we come back and put in the detail. Now I'm using a 0.1 nib. Now this is a dark brown, and Unipin have come out with 2 new shades. Well, one's a light grey and one's a dark grey, and they come in 0.1 and 0.5. Now here all I'm trying to do is just, as I said earlier, putting in the outline, going around, and we'll do a little bit of the underdrawing. And then the chain. Now the chain, I do have a video showing you how to go about drawing chains. And not quite like these. These chains are like just sort of old bits of wire that they strung together, I guess, to make them look like a chain. Well, to have the same effect as a chain. But you know, remember back in the old days, they had to make do with whatever materials they had. Just doing the cooking pots there, and like I say, all we're doing is just going around, because once you've laid down your graphite and then you decide you're going to ink it, we'll do virtually the same process all over again, except that it's already there. So we're just going around it all. And if you remember, if you've been following my series, you'll know that I prefer to leave as much graphite in as possible, and mixed with the the colours of the ink, or the permanentness of the ink I should say, it creates what I call a platinum finish. And once you get brave enough to sort of start using your pens, because you got to remember that you can't just rub it out like you can with when you do your graphite drawings, so it makes it a bit more of a challenge. Now just sort of put it in a bit closer to show you the strokes that I'm using to create that texture. Now in this case, it may be a bit of bark on there because they're not posts or anything, it's just been sticks that have been, cut up and pushed into the ground to use as a fireplace. Well, to hold up the pots and that anyway. Now you'll notice I always make it a little bit darker on the bottom side of things, because the sun, like there for example, the light source is not going to be getting in there, not as much as where it's more open. Now one of the things that I really enjoy about using my fine line pens is that it can really help to make a graphite drawing pop out, For some reason, I guess it's just because it's so much darker. They create contrast. And you can make all different sort of little textures in there, put in little knots and things like that. And you just go lightly, you don't push too hard. I'm just using the very tip of the pen, the fine line pen. Now of course with graphite, we do the underdrawing, we lay down the graphite, which is the underdrawing, we blend it, and we take a bit out, then we put a bit more back in. But with ink, obviously we can't do that, but we still work in layers. You'll notice I haven't done everything all at once. It's the same procedure in as that I've done the outline, the underdrawing, and then we'll go back over it again. And of
course, you know I like to go with the flow of the drawing, so I'll turn the page around to go with it. And that might be just on a little bit of an angle. Doesn't have to be all the way around. Whichever way it is, I just find that easier than to go across the page. See how we're just doing layers? Of course, it's going to be a little bit darker and around there where the fork and the cross piece is. Now just remember to take your time. That's all you have to do. Don't rush it. It's not a race and it's not a competition. So pause as often as you need to. Make it a little bit darker there. Now we're going over and doing the chain. Going over the chain, I mean. And like I said earlier, I do have a tutorial in my Fun Times Family Art playlist on how to draw a realistic chain. And I'll leave a card at the end of this video so you can watch it next if you like. We're just putting in the kindling there. And we light the fire. And that's once again, that's just a random thing. I'm just going over what was already there. So we've got a few sticks sticking up, and that's all we need. You know, you've got to have fun doing this. And like I said, pause whenever you need to. Don't let it go on for too long, because you've got to get up at least every 45 minutes to an hour and go for a little stroll. Just walk around, stretch the legs. Movement is medicine. That's what my physio used to say anyway. And I'm inclined to agree with her. Now you notice here when we're doing the stones, the dark, obviously the bottom is going to be darker, but that's right on the ground. And I'm not doing like colouring it in or shading it in completely. I'm just shading little bits and pieces in. Because remember, there's graphite on there. So we just sort of putting where there might be little cracks and creases and just adding to it. And once again, remembering that it's always going to be darker on the bottom. Now when you get the chance, get yourself some fine line pens. You only need a 0.1 or 0.2. Now all the stationery shops have them now, certainly the art supplies, but they're probably cheaper at the art shop, at the stationery supply. And I use Unipin. You know, I'm not getting anything for saying that, but I use them because I've tried most of them. I've tried all the good ones, the expensive ones, and I found that the Unipin does just as good a job as in most cases actually better than all the expensive ones. And these ones, you know, they're sort of around about $2 or $3 each. Depends on where you go, of course. Now that's Aussie dollars. And I'm just going around adding the finishing touches to the pots and pans there. Adding another layer, putting the darks in where it's a little bit darker, and even like on the outside there, around the edges, that gives it that round effect, just making it a little shade darker. Putting down a little bit more ink on the ground and underneath the stones, and we're just doing the groundwork. Now I've got my fingers and wrists locked, so I'm sort of just sliding my hand or my arm across do the ground here, but just really adding the finishing touches, putting a bit more dark in the back stones there. Just putting in a little bit of grass there. I've actually changed to my 0.5, it's a bit darker. A few dots here just to make it look like there's some seed heads or something on it. Now I'm going to use my electric eraser here to take out some of that graphite. Remember I said I like to leave as much graphite in as I can? Well, that's the reason why. Look, and it just creates the highlights. And that's what I call my platinum finish. Brush away the crumb, and all that's left is to use my little blending brush just to soften up those white bits a bit. Oh, a little bit of a touch up there, and there you have it.
Let's go and check out this week's shout out.
Now, let me introduce to you the Sketching Greyhound. Now, this is a gentleman from Germany, and his name is Kai. And he's actually been off the scene for 3 or 4 months now, but he's made a comeback. And thank goodness for that, because I was actually missing him. He's a beautiful portrait artist, And what he does is he draws like the characters from the Big Bang Theory, a lot from the Buffy Club, Doctor Who, superheroes. And not only does he draw them, like beautifully draw them, he also has a commentary, and he'll talk about, for example, as if they were talking to him, you know, as if he was a two-way conversation going on. I really find him enjoyable. He experienced with a bit of colour every now and again. Wolverine, Aquaman, Doctor Strange, to name a few. He's just one of these guys that has just got a great presence on the screen. He's got a great way of coming across, and I know you're going to enjoy his channel. So when you get the chance, jump on over there. Tell him Robbie from Rusticated-Artist sent you, and I know he'll really appreciate it. Really worth the visit. And as usual, I'll leave a link in the description.
Now, if you like what you're seeing and feel you're getting some value, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and share it with your friends, because if you're enjoying it, the chances are they're going to enjoy it just as much. And if you haven't yet subscribed but would like to, hit that red button, ring the notification bell, and that way you'll get notified every time a new video comes out. Now, if this is your first time here, then this is the video for you to watch next. Well, that's about it, my friends. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one. Same time, same place.